going to create a problem.
48-hour art check, round 48. 48 several times. I'm going to say the number 48, both in the number of hours and in the rounds.
You guys, the 48s just canceled each other out, and we're now in like a completely alternate dimension. Oh, crap.
The null hour art check, round null.
So, welcome to the alternate dimension. That is the null art check.
Yeah. Is this, is anything different about this dimension? Like, I'm wondering, is everything made out of beads? Or is it more of like, it rains donuts? Which type of alternate dimension are we talking about?
You know, I kind of feel like a really great alternate dimension would just be like one little annoying change, like all ketchup becomes mustard or something. Right. So every member, like everybody who lives in Chicago, like is really pissed off and aware of the dimension. But like most people are like, that's kind of irritating.
Oh, that's funny. I would go with I'd go with like a shift in the culture. That like art is valued as much as management or something. I don't know.
Nice. I like that. Or where cartoonists are paid like the equivalent of like an average salary.
A livable wage.
I like this dimension. We should stay there.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I've been listening to the 3 Point Perspective podcast. And it's interesting to get all those guys' perspectives. It's Will Terry and Jake Parker, and now I can't remember the third guy's name. But anyway, They just talk about all their different perspectives in illustration, and it got me thinking. Like, I don't have a lot of good illustration podcasts, but there's a lot of really good illustration YouTube channels. So it's like it's switched because it used to be no good YouTube channels and all podcasts. Anyway.
That's a fair point. Maybe it's flipped back and maybe it's all the podcasts now because of the 48 alternate.
Yes,
all right.
That's what's changed.
So what do we want to? Who's starting?
Why don't you go first? We'll have you start.
Who? What? Where? What's going on? So okay, I am still drawing that page. And I'm a little irked because I thought I'd be done, and I'm not. But I will finish it tonight. So, kind of made my goal, but I would have liked to make it before this check.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will say, though, the way you're using negative space, or not negative space, but complexity versus simplicity on the character versus the pages is going to look rad.
Nice.
Like, as the pages have started encroaching on his space, I've noticed that. I was able to fit everything I need in my booth in a box that I had in my garage, except for the cart, which is awesome. I finished up the printing some files. I designed a quick business card, which I blurred out there because it's got personal information on it. And I did a video social media giveaway thing that I'll probably talk about later because it's part of my plans.
Nice. So my challenges were... we did a little bit of recording yesterday with the band, and I think I already told you about this, but I ended up like breaking down and actually buying a guitar.
Yeah, right.
But I got a really good deal. But anyhow, I got really kind of distracted, and so it's like it's nice to be back kind of on point with my comics. But man, it was like a day or two of just slogging to get to it. Still did my time, but just the temptation.
Amusing rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Challenges. My sleep schedule is slowly starting to flip back. I've been going to bed an hour earlier each night, so now I'm going to bed at like 3 in the morning, which is good because it was like 6 a.m. a while ago. But yeah, I mean, mainly it's just like trying to get stuff done in the midst of just no schedule and everything's weird, and I have to feed this kid seems like 20 minutes or I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's got to be tough on top of like gearing up and getting everything ready at work and stuff too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so my plan is just to finish this page and preferably get a really good chunk of the tight roughs done, because I don't want to spend like a month and a half on a page.
Right. It's paying off though. It's a good looking page. For my plans, I launched a social media thing where I will be giving away a bunch of product every day. So starting on day one of the show, I'm going to give away every postcard that I have to whoever wins. And day two, I'll give away one of every sticker that I have. And day three, I think I'm probably going to give away like $100 store credit, like whatever you want to buy. And we'll see how that goes. It's been good. It's been shared a lot. I noticed that Gazbot did an interesting one where it had like a point system, and I kind of want to talk to him about how he's keeping track of all that, because he's got, like 1 point if you comment on this thing, 3 points if you share it, 3 points if you tag somebody else in it or something, which is kind of interesting. Mine's just like, I'm just going to go off my email list. I just want more people on my email list, because I'm going to start doing like a newsletter.
Nice.
Just to kind of keep everybody updated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. I'm just going to draw names from my list. And if you're on the list, I'll draw your name. And right now the list is small, so the chances are good. So get in there if you haven't yet already, because you've got a pretty good chance. Like,
yeah, and I think people who've been watching the art checks and stuff should be familiar with like how good this stuff is and like what a variety of cool products it is. It's like stickers and prints and like postcards and just really awesome art and like really custom, and so it's a really good opportunity to kind of like fill your walls and your home with like Cory's awesome art. So I will see if I can sign on too.
Yeah, you should. I actually recognized quite a few names from people who watch this show, and so that was really cool to see kind of that support from the community. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got a rad little community here, so
yeah, it is. It's really cool. So what do we want to talk about? We could do more con prep, or I don't know. I mean, at this point, I like staged it. It's looking pretty good. I set it up and broke it down a few times. I'm sure I'm forgetting a ton of stuff or not thinking about a ton of stuff, but like, I don't know. I've spent several months and I'm kind of ready now. So I don't.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do other than just show up and see what happens.
The one piece of advice I can say that, like at the stage you're at, because you have pretty much everything, do not forget to pick up small bills from the bank before your first day, because you're going to run out of ones and you're going to run out of fives.
Yeah.
So make sure you have like a good chunk of ones and fives so that you can give people change. Because I didn't think of that for the first 3 conventions I did. And then I'd have to like bug people next to me, and none of them feel great about that, because they're like, well, I'm running out of ones, dude. So
right. Like how many do you bring? Like 100?
Well, I wouldn't specify the amount on air, but just so nobody's like,
come rob me.
You're carrying that much cash on you, huh?
I will say this. I am bringing a biometric safe. It's gonna do
nice.
It's gonna do a cash box, and then I was like, but I have a biometric safe, so there's actually no way to steal my money without like cutting off one of my fingers.
Word.
I guess so. There's a deterrent.
There you go. So yeah, I think 100 would do. Like 100 and ones and fives. Yeah, that'll probably do it. Probably half and half. Actually, probably more ones, because fives are less useful.
Yeah, and I printed my signage. I'm hoping I get the prices the way that I want them. I don't know. It's really hard to kind of decide that. But I did do more math. I was planning on doing a video on that math, and I still might, because I don't know. To me, it feels like trying to figure out your break-even point and your cogs and all that kind of stuff is pretty straightforward. But I think it feels like that because I've done that for like 15 years. Because I had to learn it at some point. I don't think it's a natural thing. So I do think that would be an interesting. Like I want to break it down and give people a free downloadable like Excel spreadsheet that I use. I also printed out I've got a chart, and I put like a slight gray back. It's just a big grid of boxes for like every poster that I'm bringing, every postcard that I'm bringing, every sticker that I'm bringing, because I've heard different things that kind of freak me out a little bit about how people keep track of their inventory. They like count it afterwards, or they just don't know what they sold and they guess or whatever. And I'm a little too anal to be okay with that. So with mine, I have a slight gray background on all of the boxes that I need to fill up to break even. And so I will know in each category of product that I have the actual product that I sold that, like I've got to sell 9 of these, I've got to sell 76 of these, I've got to sell 3 of these. There's different numbers that I have to sell to break even. And then an average over everything of like profit to break even on the booth cost.
Nice. I think that's a good call because you'll actually be able to assess how you actually did. And then aside from that, you'll be able to assess what sells better and kind of look at your sales numbers and stuff and kind of, use that to speculate for the next, which is great. So, because each convention is lining up for the next. Mm-hmm. So even if you like kill it in sales at this convention, if you return back to the same convention the next year, you're going to have an increase in sales, like most of the time, because a lot of sales that happen at conventions are return people, like people who, like literally, and it's a good thing. I mean, you're aware of this, but a lot of people aren't when they go into it. That like they'll have that customer who's like, oh man, I really want to get this, and they never do at that convention.
Right.
And a lot of early artists will be kind of cocky about it or like demeaning about it, like, oh, they were lying and stuff like that. But then what I've found is that those people sometimes will come back the next year and be like, dude, I saw this last year. I really meant to buy it. I'm going to buy it this year.
Oh, yeah.
And so on. And that can happen like the longer you're at a convention, kind of the more you build up that groundswell too. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. That's really cool. I think it's cool you fit it into a small, manageable, movable box because it's a big box, but it's going to be movable and manageable, and that's good too because there are some people who go too big, and then that can be problematic too. So.
Right, and I mean, I don't have that much stuff, and it's all flat, so it's pretty good. I don't know. I was surprised. And a couple of those in the upper right-hand corner are tubes. So I've got the backdrop that breaks down, and it breaks down into like a 3-foot kind of tube. And then in my backdrop itself, I was able to roll it up and fit it in one of those kind of portfolio tubes.
Nice.
So those are kind of like sticking out of the box. And then I just have like an 11 by 17 portfolio, 12 by 18 portfolio that I have all my posters in.
Yeah.
And then I just pack it with like MDF, that kind of real slick board that a lot of people paint on. I just have 2 pieces of MDF to make sure it doesn't bend on either side. So, yeah, and we'll see. I mean, and I'm taking my motorcycle down. My wife's taking the van. And so I'll go down a little bit early. And the way they've got it at Salt Lake is kind of cool because you go and you get all checked in. They have like the Utah tax people right there, so you can like get all your paperwork. You don't have to like be hunted down later or whatever. And it seems pretty organized. But I'm gonna get there a day early and get all the paperwork filled out and kind of get my bearings. And hopefully my wife will make it by then. But if not, I still have like the next morning to set up. And I mean,
awesome.
I've practiced setting it up, so I don't think it'll really take that long. So, I mean, a couple hours at the most, and that's if I'm, like, taking my time.
All right, so if I'm in like the Utah area, then like, and I get to this giant convention because this is a big convention.
It's huge.
Um,
Yeah.
where do I find you? Like,
Yeah. So there's an artist alley, and I'm in the teal aisle, and my number is TE33. And if you're coming, or if you're not even planning on coming, I would come on Thursday because it's $15 to get in on Thursday. So you can get in on Thursday for $15. And Friday and Saturday are a little bit more. But it seems like a great show. There's a couple artists I recognize. Not as many comic people as I would have thought. I went a few years ago. But yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to have a yellow tablecloth. I'm going to have that big giant banner behind me with a lot of yellow and black, and fire and stuff on it.
still wearing your face, right? Like you're
I
not
will
going to be
have,
wearing a different
yeah,
face.
I'm not going to cosplay as someone else.
That's awesome.
But yeah. So yeah, but come in, even if you don't buy anything, I don't care. Just come say hi. I just don't want to sit there for 8 hours and not have anybody to talk to. So if you're in the area, it's at the Salt Palace. And if you're in the area, you'll know where that is. It's at the Salt Palace, and you can kind of there's kind of parking all over the place there, and you just kind of pop in. You can buy a ticket at the door, or if you get one like now, I think you save a little bit of money. But yeah, come by TE33, and if you forget my booth number, you can always just go check out my Twitter. Right now has that as my name. It says Cory Kerr FanX TE33. So yeah, I'd love to see him.
And you'll be kind of filming a little bit too during the
nice. So I'll be doing kind of a daily rundown kind of what happens and all that, and then at the end of the show I'll do like some convention math, and I'll talk about real numbers. So I'm gonna
awesome.
talk about all the money I spent and all the money I made, and why I did some of those things, and how I calculated the decision to do or not do things, because there were a few things that I was planning on doing that after running some numbers it didn't make sense. And so the rundown video after this I think is going to be pretty interesting, because that's something I feel like in art that people don't talk about enough.
Agreed.
Yeah, either people are making so much money that they're embarrassed about it and they don't want people to feel bad, so they don't talk about it, or they're making so little money that they're embarrassed about it and they want people to think that they're doing better, so they don't talk about it or whatever. But I've always found like the few people who have mentioned actual numbers on things like Kickstarter campaigns and stuff like that is super helpful. And so if you want, and I mean, everybody's thing is going to be different because everybody's work is different. And whatever. And I don't have a huge social media following, so if you're like starting out, I feel like if you've got some artwork to sell and you're starting out, that my results would be fairly comparable to your results.
And you can learn a lot from just, like it's a good opportunity to kind of check it out and learn a lot from your experiences, like whether you have great experiences or bad experiences, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like I think people can absorb a lot. I know I'll be watching really carefully just to kind of like analyze and see. For one thing, like, when my book's ready, I want to know, is that con even worth doing, because that's not super far away from California. So for a big con.
And flights are exceptionally cheap on like Allegiant. Like you can go to Long Beach to Salt Lake for less than $50.
Yeah.
So there's it's an interesting thing. I know some people don't like it because it's not on Sunday, and Thursday's supposed to be a little bit slower just because it's Thursday and not a Friday. So most cons will do like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this one does a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just because of the community and the way it is there. So it'll be interesting. But I mean, also it's like a $15 ticket to get in on Thursday, and like it's more than that on Friday and Saturday. So maybe that'll up the numbers, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And if anybody has any questions or anything, hey Peter, Peter's in the chat. I just noticed. Let me know, because I will be completely transparent about it. My one concern, and this is I think what stops people from sharing that type of stuff, is people will look at like a per unit margin and assume that, you know, like, oh man, that's a serious markup. But like, I'm gonna explain all that. But you know, like on a postcard, like I'll be honest, my postcards, they cost me like 46 cents, and I'm selling them for $2 or $3. I think $3. And so that's a pretty big markup, but that's not like taking into account like all of the ones that I printed that I don't sell.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing to just keep in mind with that is you're talking about cost of materials as well,
And
and the
not
markup has to include like the cost of the time that it took to create the art.
right.
And so there's that too, which I feel, well, that could be a whole other topic for a future
Yeah.
art check, but I do feel like that gets undervalued a lot this day and age, where people are like, well, the materials are this much, but
Yeah. And that's
at the
actually,
end of the day, the stuff that's printed on the materials is of value enough to where like guys like you and I can make a living doing it, you know?
right.
So
And that's actually one of my
yeah.
huge problems with Kickstarter and Indiegogo is I feel like the community has come to expect that the people who do that break even.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, you know, like, well, I'm gonna charge this much for this book, and that'll mean that I can print it and ship it to you and not lose money. And then at the end of the day, like after taxes and shipping and printing, it's almost a wash.
Yeah.
And that's like the expectation. And I know that people have figured out ways to do it better than that. But it's almost like I've seen people charge like more to try to cover the cost because it's a super low print run when you're talking about anything else. So there is a ton of value in like the years it takes to be able to get good enough to do anything, and then the actual time it takes to produce it. And then on top of that, then you have your like printing costs and material costs and stuff like that. So I'll be talking about all of that.
I'm excited, man. I'm
Yeah.
excited for you. I think it's going to be a good experience. I think it's going to be a good con, and I'm also just excited that you're going to kind of get your first con in, which is cool. So
Yeah.
I think this will be a really good experience. And if you guys are at Salt Lake, definitely stop by and cheerlead a little bit, man. I mean, it's a first con. You got to support.
Yeah,
So
that would be cool.
yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Okay. If
Cool.
if you guys want to be entered into that contest and win some stuff, I'll ship it to you if you're not at the show. Go to corykerr.com/email, and that'll just sign you up for my email newsletter. Other than that, if you want to check out Josh's stuff and see this page when it's finished, go to quarterlystories.com. You can check out my work at corykerr.com. And I will be at booth TE33. It's in the Salt Palace on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And a special thanks to No Saboteurs for licensing the intro music. And we will catch you guys in a couple days from the road.
All right. Nil episode done.